The Newport estate remains standing on Bellevue Avenue to this day, but residents avoid uttering its name. Concealed beneath its flawless marble exterior and neatly trimmed lawns is a reality so alarming that multiple generations of Rhode Island clans have plotted to suppress it. From 1861 to 1863, 7 individuals perished inexplicably inside those rooms, each linked to the same lady, each displaying identical signs: severe spasms, darkened nails, and the distinct sharp almond odor of arsenic toxicity. The truly terrifying aspect of this affair isn't merely the systematic killings, but the disclosure unearthed years afterward from a locked court storage area. The perpetrator received assistance from her target's relatives, even those she was targeting. Before advancing with the account of Margaret Aldridge and the Newport Toxin Network, remember to follow our feed and activate alerts, since narratives like this, suppressed by affluent lineages and omitted from records, are precisely what we expose here. Also, share in the replies which region you're viewing from. We've gotten notes from audience members who have toured these old sites, and your regional perspectives always bring valuable layers to these probes. The facts regarding the events in that residence only started emerging in 1924, when construction crews found a concealed space behind the bookroom panels holding papers that would overhaul all assumptions historians held about one of Newport's most esteemed households. In spring 1861, Newport, Rhode Island, existed as a town straddling dual realities. As the manufacturing North prepared for conflict with the seceded South, Newport's upper crust dwelled in lavish excess. Enormous wealth from fabric factories, maritime paths, and global commerce had turned this seaside locale into a haven for the rich in America. The renowned vacation homes, palaces matching those in Europe, bordered Bellevue Avenue like tributes to U.S. enterprise. Amid these structural wonders was Ravenscroft Hall, the 40-chamber domain of the Aldridge clan, constructed in 1847 using Italian stone, French glass, and wood shipped from the islands. It embodied all that the U.S. nobility strived to achieve. The structure overlooked the vast Atlantic, its panes mirroring the dawn light like amber gazes monitoring the shore. At 47, Margaret Aldridge ranked among Newport's most imposing female figures. Left a widow after her spouse Edmund died in what was deemed a fatal equestrian mishap 3 years prior, she had seized command of the extensive Aldridge assets with impressive skill. Her keen mind and commercial savvy won over even the most doubtful males in Newport circles, who reluctantly conceded that Edmund's passing had exposed his spouse as much more adept than anticipated. Acquaintances portrayed Margaret as a lady of commanding aura over traditional allure, slim and statuesque, with iron-hued eyes that appeared to appraise the value of all they beheld. She had a nearly mesmerizing talent for dominating any gathering. Her ebony tresses, streaked early with gray, stayed impeccably styled in current trends. She attired herself lavishly yet modestly, preferring rich navies and ebony shades that highlighted her fair skin and lent her a constant aura of sorrow that gentlemen found enigmatic and attractive. Margaret's offspring symbolized the destiny she aimed to safeguard. Eleanor, 23, embodied the ideal of a well-raised miss, lovely, skilled, and endowed with a mild temperament that endeared her to Newport's single gentlemen. Her junior sibling, Catherine, 21, had a livelier personality and quick humor that sometimes concerned her parent, who favored compliant girls over self-reliant ones. The Aldridge wealth was considerable, yet finite. Edmund had executed various unwise ventures pre-demise, and the looming war risked interrupting the trade lines fueling much of the clan's revenue. Margaret grasped that her girls' unions would shape not only their paths, but the endurance of the clan's societal rank. An ill-chosen partner might trigger the steady erosion of all the Aldridges had established. It was amid this atmosphere of communal strain and monetary instability that Eleanor declared her betrothal to Charles Whitfield, a dashing 26-year-old from a prominent Boston lineage. Charles offered precisely what the Aldridges required: vitality, appeal, links to Northern Cloth funds, and crucially, a hefty legacy accessible post-wedding. He stood tall and sturdy, with raven locks and the effortless assurance born of lifelong advantage. His Harvard schooling had equipped him for legal pursuits, and his kin's governmental bonds hinted at a promising role in Boston elite. The betrothal, proclaimed in February 1861, was hailed as an ideal pairing by Newport's high society. Charles was evidently enchanted with Eleanor, penning lengthy missives brimming with verse and vows of undying loyalty. Eleanor, more subdued in her sentiments, appeared truly content with the setup. The nuptials were set for June, providing ample time for the ornate setups such an alliance demanded. Margaret immersed herself in the nuptial arrangements with a fervor that astonished her nearest companions. She directly managed each aspect, from choosing Eleanor's gown material to organizing blooms in the church. She demanded Charles stay at Ravenscroft Hall for prolonged periods, asserting she wished to familiarize herself thoroughly with her prospective kin. These sojourns grew more regular nearing the ceremony, with Charles frequently lingering for several days. What Newport's circles failed to comprehend was that Margaret's focus on Charles arose from motives much darker than parental care. Upon encountering him, she had spotted in Charles an element that stirred her unlike anything in recent times. It wasn't affection. Margaret Aldridge lacked capacity for such fragility. It was the excitement of pursuit, the acknowledgement of a fitting test, and above all, the spotting of a chance to resolve her economic woes indefinitely. The initial hint of irregularity surfaced on a mild April 1861 night. Charles had resided at Ravenscroft Hall for almost a week, supposedly to deliberate ceremony plans and assess legal papers tied to blending their kin properties. The home had fallen into its standard nighttime pattern, Eleanor at the keys in the melody chamber, Catherine absorbed in tomes in the book area, and staff tidying post-meal. Margaret located Charles solo on the balcony facing the sea, puffing a smoke and observing breakers smash the stones beneath. The lunar glow was almost complete, bathing all in a metallic sheen that rendered the view nearly staged. She neared gradually, bearing dual goblets of spirits and clad in a satin nightrobe that flattered her still notable form. "You appear bothered, Charles," she remarked, presenting one vessel. "Certainly not by notions of wedding my girl." Charles took the liquor appreciatively, yet observed that Margaret's nearness inexplicably unsettled him. An aspect of her demeanor, a faint alteration in her gaze, her stance just near enough for her fragrance to overwhelm his awareness, felt unsuitable for a forthcoming maternal relative. "Not precisely bothered," Charles answered, sipping the fine liquor, "merely pondering the horizon, the conflict, the shifts approaching our realm. At times, I ponder if we're all in a sort of illusion poised to conclude sharply." Margaret drew nearer, sufficiently so he sensed her body's heat. "Illusions can prove risky," she murmured. "They cause us to overlook reality, priorities. Often, life's greatest treasures are immediate, yet we're too engrossed in dreams to notice." Their dialogue extended almost 60 minutes, Margaret adeptly steering Charles through subjects unveiling his deepest worries and yearnings. She gleaned his monetary fears, his uncertainties regarding his legal path, his dread of unworthiness for Eleanor's affection. With every disclosure, she cast herself as one comprehending him superior to others. What Charles ignored was Margaret's weak, long scrutiny of him, his routines, flaws, timetable. She had perused his exchanges with Eleanor, hunting character clues. She had discreetly probed his kin's finances, learning his legacy exceeded expectations. Vitally, she had infused minor doses of a gentle calmer into his nightly spirits, harmless, merely sufficient to heighten suggestibility and erode proper limits. That evening on the balcony, Margaret initiated her advance. It was understated, a palm on his limb for emphasis, a chuckle extending slightly overlong, praise for his wit paired with a glance implying profound regard. Charles, muddled by their odd closeness and the laced liquor's impact, reacted against wisdom. "You're unlike my expectations," he confessed, speech mildly garbled. Eleanor's depiction of her parent evoked someone else, more typical. "And your current view?" Margaret inquired, her metallic eyes locked on his with force quickening his heartbeat. Charles sought fitting terms, but spirits and nearness hindered clarity. "I believe," he uttered gradually, "Eleanor is lucky to have gained poise and wit from such an exceptional lady." It was the precise entry Margaret awaited. She advanced nearer, her exhale warming his collar as she breathed. "Certain teachings demand direct involvement, Charles. Some learnings necessitate intimate guidance." The enticement didn't occur then. Margaret was too astute for haste in such a fragile scheme. Rather, she sowed sparks of longing and bewilderment to flourish soon. She retreated as Charles neared an irreversible boundary, leaving him vexed and remorseful, uncertain of the near event or his intense draw to his betrothed's parent. Eleanor, rehearsing keys in the melody space, caught only soft tones from the balcony, presuming Mother and Charles debated ceremony specifics. Catherine, perusing in the book area, saw Charles's agitation upon re-entry, but blamed wedding jitters. The help, drilled to remain unseen and oblivious to owners' private talks, spotted nothing atypical for a residence gearing for a high society union. Yet Margaret's personal attendant, Sarah Connolly, a keen Irish lady serving 15 years, noted something profoundly disturbing. Assisting Margaret's bedtime prep, she observed her employer gazing at her reflection with unsuitable contentment for a parent nearing her girl's wedding. "You look satisfied with the night, madame," Sarah hazarded cautiously. Margaret grinned, not warmly maternal but chillingly scheming, like a hunter pleased with prey selection. "Indeed, Sarah," she answered, combing her locks with measured pulls. "I think matters are unfolding precisely as planned." Dawn brought disquieting tidings shadowing Margaret's meticulously built realm. Dr. William Hensley, the kin healer who tended Edmund Aldridge in his last sickness 3 years back, reached Ravenscraft Hall wearing a gravely worried look. He arrived, he clarified to Margaret privately in her office, due to alarming whispers among Newport's healers. "There are inquiries, Margaret," Dr. Hensley stated, taking offered brew hesitantly. "Inquiries regarding Edmund's passing that I truly wished would stay dormant." Margaret's demeanor stayed flawlessly poised, though her grip quivered faintly, pouring her own. "Inquiries? What inquiries could exist about an equestrian mishap? Dr. Hensley, 62 with silvered hair and weary eyes from decades of woes, had overseen Margaret's girls' births, cared for the kin through ailments, and viewed himself as ally and healer, rendering his words harder. Edmund's pre-death indicators, he proceeded unwillingly, the seizures, stomach woes, nail darkening in end days. Then I blamed all on crash injuries, but peers suggest the course aligns more with toxin than injury. Margaret placed her cup steadily. "Dr. Hensley, you're not implying my spouse was slain. By who? Why? I'm implying not." He responded swiftly, "Just that inquiries arise, potentially awkward if heard wrongly." What Dr. Hensley held from Margaret was the inquiry's origin, Charles Whitfield. At a Vanderbilt feast prior week, Charles discussed Edmund's end with Dr. James Morrison, a Boston toxin specialist. Morrison's symptom queries sparked deep doubt shared with Newport healers. Charles's curiosity in Edmund's demise stemmed not from doubt but legal schooling. Reviewing Aldridge finances for wedding packs, he spotted timing oddities in Edmund's legacy shifts and coverage. Edmund altered estate setups months pre-death, greatly benefiting Margaret with unmatched financial sway. Margaret thanked Dr. Hensley for worry, assuring welcome to probes quelling vile whispers. Post-departure, she lingered solo in office an hour, eyeing the Atlantic, weighing choices. She always anticipated this, prepped for Edmund's end drawing scrutiny. Unanticipated, threat from Charles. That night, Margaret resolved a shift from one desperate slaying to something deadlier. She'd not just endure Edmund's probe, she'd leverage it to erase all risks eternally. Charles's probing queries exposed his peril beyond initial view, yet guided her to exploit it. The emerging scheme was bold and daring, appalling in reach. She'd lure Charles not merely to snatch from Elinor, but entangle him in a plot securing Aldridge wealth forever. She'd employ his legal skill for flawless mishaps, removing all dangers, daughters included if needed. First, secure Charles's full alliance, and she knew how. Deep night, house asleep, Margaret visited Charles's guest quarters. She laced his nightly spirits heavier, ensuring muddled excitement upon arrival. The ensuing hours bound Charles inescapably. 1924. Found papers included Charles's scripted admission, sealed open post, demise. Its revelations on his initial night with Margaret shocked officials into contemplating destruction over preservation. If this narrative disturbs you as much as us, tap like and pass to Dark History fans. These concealed facts are what elites spend riches to hide. Meanwhile, Elinor rested soundly down the corridor, oblivious her betrothal turned far graver than mere disloyalty. Her intended wasn't just faithless, he was murder aid, tied to her parent by mysteries dooming all. Charles's shift over days was nuanced yet clear to intimates. Elinor noted his distraction in talks, distant gaze unreadable. Questioned, he claimed perfection, but grin forced, eyes oddly fierce. Catherine's keenness made her more perceptive than mild sibling. She saw Charles pursuing private chats with their parent often. She caught them in book room one noon, nearer than proper, whispers halting at entry. Mentioned to Elinor, sister brushed as normal. Charles sought solid ties with future maternal kin. What sisters couldn't fathom, those chats' real essence. Charles, reeling from Margaret Knight and shocking shares, was steadily pulled into intrigue, making him party to unimaginable offenses. Margaret disclosed all, Edmund's slaying, faked papers, staged mishap widowing her richly. Yet she framed as self-protection vs. abusive mate threatening kin ruin financially. She alleged Edmund planned divorce, destitution, forcing survival vs. ethics choice. I never sought this role. She told Charles in secret meet, tears timed expertly, but choosing girl's future over soul. What parent wouldn't forfeit all for offspring shield? Charles, tainted by Margaret intimacy and Elinor betrayal guilt, sank into her justification maze and partial facts. Margaret's tale cast her victim, compelled by uncontrollables. Her truth manipulation skill led Charles to view aiding Elinor/Catherine protection over peril. Margaret's initial assignment to Charles appeared benign. Use legal prowess reviewing kin estate docs, spotting weaknesses risking security. Charles embraced eagerly, thankful for contribution sans deep moral scrutiny. His findings should have alarmed, pattern evident once sought. Edmund's end preceded calculated legacy, coverage, deed tweaks maximizing Margaret gain, minimizing oversight. Worse, similar around two other Aldridge, linked men's ends. Margaret's prior mate perished boating pre-Charles' birth. Elinor's ex, betrothed Thomas Richardson, carriage mishap months pre-Charles' courtship. Thomas's end especially dubious. Charles knew him vaguely Harvard. Healthy, sporty, skilled rider, unlikely losing carriage control, familiar path, fine weather, mishap, sudden horse fright, calm eve, neck, breaking crash odd for Thomas's expertise. Charles challenged Margaret on discoveries, expecting shock. Instead, calm affirmation of fears. Thomas uncovered Edmund in detail, making him threat. Margaret acted kin protecting. Other deaths, true mishaps unfortunately pattern, misinterpretable. You grasp my need for aid. Margaret said, hand familiar on arm. Your wit/legal prep vital, ensuring no further mishaps. With you, secure kin future sans more harm. Charles horrified, realizing part admired Margaret's murder pragmatism. No lunatic/say, Esticy tactician removing threats like general battle, winning. Compromised, he rationalized acts necessary ills, conscience protesting complicity. Margaret's final lure step, reveal full current scheme. Elinor, maternal worry, grew doubtful engagement, posing awkward Thomas death queries. Worse, Boston kin correspondence possibly piecing kin mishap history. I adore my girl. Margaret feigned true pain, but she's youthful, naive on truth peril. Continued probe destroys her, scandals us all, including you, Charles. Kintai ruins career/reputation eternally. Margaret's fix, elegantly plain, monstrously. Elinor must endure tragic mishap pre-exposure, heart-rending, soul-kin, shield, including Catherine Young for fresh start, sans Newport whispers/suspicions. Charles's proposal horror should have spurred immediate manor flight, authority report. Instead, he posed practical timing/method queries like contract review over betrothed slaying plot. Shift complete. Charles Whitfield, arrived Newport honorable youth wedding love, became Margaret Aldridge willing murder partner. Woman vowed cherish/protect. Elinor's initial firm doubt arose rainy, made dawn finding Charles/mother inspecting wine bottle in manor basement. Close, urgent murmurs at approach, silenced guiltily like plotters exposed. Just picking wine for Eve meal, Margaret glided, though neither held bottle. Charles appreciates our stock. Elinor grinned acceptance, yet seen bothered. Bottle dusty, aged reserve for occasions. Puzzling, Charles pocketed small item pre-appearance. That Eve meal, Elinor watched mother/fiancé exchanges closer. Noted Margaret's lingering salt. Pass fingers, I meets understanding innocent topics. Charles's rapt word attention beyond courtesy. Mentioning Thomas Richardson's sister's Boston letter querying death details, both reacted instantly telling. Margaret's utensil midair pause, Charles wine, glass drop, crimson spread tablecloth blood, like. How awkward, Charles strained napkin, reaching. Why Miss Richardson queries now? Loss impacts variably. Margaret cautious servant, signaling cleanup. Some can't accept mishaps as such, need blame. Elinor studied mother's controlled face, spotting new cold calculation, evoking sudden home unsafety. Later night, Elinor chose mortal, risk action, probe Thomas Richardson effects, attic stored post, death. If dubious mishap, belongings might hold clues explaining sister's queries. Thomas trunk find chilled Elinor, under garb, hide folder with Edmund Aldridge death notes, medical doubts on official equestrian mishap. Thomas probed Margaret, logging account inconsistencies, servant testimonies odd behaviors period, worse, unsent letter to Newport law head, outlining suspicions evidence, backed, probe requesting, dated 3 days pre-owned death. Elinor attic, sat amid Thomas items, grasping near, wed man died uncovering her father's slaying truth. Worse, current betrothal linked deadly trend, Charles odd acts, secretive mother chats, both Richardson inquiry reactions, conspiracy pointing Elinor peril. Attic steps sound iced Elinor's veins, hid folder skirt, under, feigned nostalgic gar, begzam, heart thumped audible to comer. Margaret stared, op emerged, lamp, bearing, concern false to Elinor's fresh doubt eyes. Darling, why here late? Margaret gentle eyes keen scanning trunk scatter, unhealthy fixating sad recalls, just reminiscing, Elinor steady, voice struggle, Richardson letter evoked him, thought items comfort her. Margaret neared, Elinor caught perfume mingled faint bitter familiar unplaceable scent, kind, Margaret, but old grief stir harms over good, wounds mend untouched. Margaret's untouched, stress crawled Elinor's skin, clear caution probing unwise. Elinor horrified realizing viewed not mother but hazardous stranger supplanting razor. Of course, mother. Elinor forced grin, right, focus future over past. Margaret reciprocated grin, calculation behind. Precisely, dear, wedding weeks away, sole focus now. Margaret turned to leave Elinor Firkin. Firm discovery, small glass tube pocket, dropped, floor, old near feet. White dust, Margaret, crypt labeled, headaches, sparse use. Elinor instant recognized, Margaret carried like years, claiming head, pain cure. Now realized mother's bitter scent matched house during father's end illness. Thomas death weeks pre. Dust no cure toxin. Aliener clear, lived with woman slaying least two, plotting more. Query, next target. Aliener's gut said self, immediate peril, logic Charles cope. Lauder safe, unknown. Margaret deemed Charles overknowing, short survival post, purpose. Margaret's toxin, arsenic 1861 rat, killer easy, food/drink, maskable, toxin med, no limited, ideal clever time, juice murder tool, if disclosure chills you, alone not, tap like horrified by Margaret's planned ruthlessness. Ensure followed, will disclose Aliener's find leading clash deciding day survival, what Aliener ignored hiding tube normal, feigning, Margaret started minor arsenic, adds to Aliener/Charles meals, tolerant, testing pre-symptoms. Weak headaches not wedding stress, arsenic initial. Aliener 3 days controlled fear, nor, malacting while secret life, save prep. Avoided meals claiming wedding thrill, curbed hunger. Carried Thomas evidence folder constant clothing, hidden, sole crime proof if aid needed. Clash hit May 15, 1861 night. 1 month pre-scheduled wedding. Found Margaret/Charles basement again. Hid stairs overheard full. Dose up. Margaret business. Calm. Aliener's resistant. Can't prolong. Wedding 4 weeks. Incapacitate pre. Charles guilt/fear. Strained Margaret can't. Her suffer destroys me. Other way must. No other. Margaret icy. Aliener's seen/knows overmuch. Your doc carelessness positioned us conscience, stutching late for doubts. Catherine, Charles. She queries too. Margaret's cruel casual laugh chilling. Catherine heartbroken sister's illness. So heartbroken abroad recovery need. Remote thought. Mountain clinic thin air. Common mishaps. Aliener wall. Pressed gas. Hold at mother's word implications. Margaret not just her kill plank. Catherine 2 daughters. Eliminate full wealth. Control, and after, Charles whisper, Margaret nearer, silk Russell vs. him, free Charles, together, free life and joy, imagine, Newport believes post, Aliener lost comfort, found, near romantic. Margaret withheld, post Catherine, Charles next victim, served legal/plight aid, but weak/guilt untrust long, months post, grief union, Charles tragic mishap, Margaret soul Aldridge/Whitfield heir, Aliener enough heard. Upstairs, crept mind escape racing, immediate manner, flee but Margaret crimes, expose, Catherine danger, warn ensure, evidence key but solo insufficient, needed witnesses official, back vital, survive story tell. Cellar steps, sound action, galvanized Aliener, room, hurried small bag essentials, packed including Thomas evidence, brief Catherine, note mother plans, warn immediate, flee beg, window waited escape chance watch sands, sight. Chance midnight, near, Margaret/Charles rooms retired, servant segs it slipped grounds cross stable, toward horse stake plan, ride Newport Center authority aid, stable, near, voice rear, heading where dear, Aliener turned, Margaret mansion, shadow, gown clad, moonlight, glint holding. Eyes, adjust, horror, revolver, just sleepless, Aliener steady, voice, air fresh thought help, Margaret neared, gun steady, bag, packed, thoughtful midnight walk, voice controlled, dangerous new edge. Disappointed Aliener, hoped quiet sands, unpleasant but father's stubborn inherited, Aliener run, useless Margaret near, grounds cover, little stable, gates, sole chance, talk keep, hope here/mistake. Know all, Aliener strong, voice surprise, Thomas probe, father slay, Catherine/Charles plans, can't all, kill, expect unnoticed, Margaret cold satisfied, smile, can't observe, gun, raised trigger, tighten. Follow, shot grounds, echoed thunder, night chatter, miles, alert terrible ravens craftoft, but bullet missed Aliener, wide, went as Margaret backs, stumbled, pain/surprise, cry, Catherine rear, struck mother heavy fire, tool, post, note, follow outside. Blow no kill intent, but strong send Margaret gravels, brawl, revolver dark spin, Aliener flee, Catherine shout, sister already, moving stable, race Catherine, behind, rear, heard Margaret rage/pain, scream grounds, carry wounded, beast. Ungrateful wretches, Margaret shriek, feet, struggle despite head, gash blood, gave all, shielded poverty/shame, repay thus, sisters stable, reached quick to, horses saddled, hands adrenaline/terror, shake. Rear, mansion lights wake, servants gunshot, probe, terrifying, Charles house, emerge, lantern/weapon, holding, calls Charles, Catherine gasp mount, both pursue, Eleanor last manner, glance, Margaret door, light silhouette face, blood alive/furious. Better town, reach pre-pursuit organize, horses, bird drive, gallop gate, stalwart rear, shouts other, horses prep, sound but head, start key, Newport center ride 20, men full gallop, lead maintain safety, reach possible pre-Margaret/Charles catch. Moonlit country, ride Eleanor bag, pulled Thomas evidence folder Catherine handed, if me, happens, hoof, thunder shout, authorities, reach, proof all, father slay, Thomas probe, Catherine folder, took determination, grim face. Nothing us happens, reply, survive, see Margaret punish deeds, but brave, words, Catherine rear, distant riders saw ground, gaining rapid, Margaret/Charles pursuit faster hoped, fresh, horses gap, close slow. Chase ended Newport Square, Eleanor/Catherine desperate full, gallop arrival, help scream, town, half-wake, night, guard post run, sister's tale wild, unbelievable, normal, dismissed hysterical pre-wedding nerves. But Thomas evidence folder, detailed Margaret crimes, no, dramatic Margaret/Charles pursuit arrival, authorities action, convinced, Dr. Hensley bed, summoned evidence exam, confirmed Thomas notes med arsenic, consistent, similar Edmund death, doubts harbored. Margaret's capture dawn, May 16, 1861. Ravens, Graftoff drawing, sit, T-sip calm, unusual, nothing act, evidence, confronted, innocence, maintained convincing poise, some doubt, charges, only house, wide hidden arsenic found, bedroom, kitchen, coat, lining sewn facade cracked. Charles fate complex, jail cell confession pretrial, full complicity, reveal, but Margaret manipulation, victim paint, decades, later doc, horrifying detail Margaret seduce, compromise, honorable youth to murder, raid transform. Believed, Eleanor protect, Charles confession, right. Margaret convinced silence soul Eleanor/Catherine safe, keep, exposure destroy them as truth me. Time understood Margaret Eleanor, kill intent regardless, web lies/crimes deep, escape impossible, tell self-courageries, ist eventual but dark, moments no cower, is/desire willing aid. Margaret Aldridge trial Rhode Island legal, history sensational, Newport elite rocked respectable widow systematic wealth/security slayer, evelations, New England papers covered, courtroom cold, demeanor to daughter's dramatic testimony. Margaret guilt, never admit, end maintain conspiracy, victim ungrateful kids/ambitious prosecutor's reputation, make, claimed Edmund genuine mishap, Thomas carriage unfortunate, daughter's greed, fabricate evidence inheritance. But proof overwhelming, arsenic Edmund exhumed, body hair, samples, Thomas body, exam clear arsenic signs original, miss damning, Eleanor med exam significant system arsenic, prove Margaret own, daughter slow, poison. Charles 20, year sentence conspiracy, served 12 pre-cell consumption, death, final Eleanor letter pre-death forgiveness, beg hope happiness, found his weakness near destroyed, Margaret death, hanging sentence rare Rhode Island era, woman capital. Executed October 13, 1862, innocence, maintain end, witnesses, gallows, walk composure, finest ebony gown, emotion mild crow, irritation, Eleanor/Catherine inherited Aldridge remainder post, fees/restitution, but Newport, left forever, manor sold, California, move new scandal, free lives. Eleanor unmarried life, dedicated women dangerous home, escape aid, Catherine doctor, wed, 4 kids, never public Ravens Graftoff events, speak, manor empty near 20 years pre-purchase/demolish, new Boston shipping, owner's different house, site, built no original connection claim. Local tale, original cursed, though truth mundane. No live thorough Margaret crimes, associate place. Margaret Aldridge case disturbs. How many similar undetected era women incapable calculated violence, assume limited poison med, no. How many caring mothers/devoted spouses similar secrets hid respectability/maternal masks. Your view this tale, believe Margaret desperate extremes, driven, or mere icy slayer societal women, expect use true nature mask. Reply thoughts. If enjoyed family disloyal/hidden slay tale, follow activate alerts miss history dark, secret probes, pass video true, crime/history mystery fans, stories told, disturbing regardless, next video another berry, truth/family, secret probe powerful hoped dale, I never. Margaret Aldridge/Newport talks, in net truth buried 60 plus years known direct. Affected families/few legal pros seal, records. Only 1924 Reno hidden, docs uncover, historians full crimes. Scope piece, today, details mysteries remain. How many Margaret actual, slay, other victims' deaths never linked, chilling. How many other Margaret Aldridges Victorian America, murderous nature's respectability/maternal, devotion masks hide. Questions never full answer, but case star, remind, evil innocent, faces where, dangerous predators often complete, trust.